Minister of Foreign Affairs, Extramarital Affairs, the Global Affairs, whatever her title is. They're throwing her in front of the cameras a lot. Let's take a look. This is what she had to say right now, today. Let's take a peek.
Can you hear me now?
Hi, Tono, I can hear you.
Great, thanks. Minister, I wonder if you could speak to word that Chrystia Freeland gave us today that if Canada were to do dollar for dollar counter tariffs against a 25% tariff from the US, that it would bring basically in $150 billion in revenue to the Canadian government. And since your government hasn't taken this off the table, could you speak to, I guess, what would be the impact on Canadians of that strategy counter tariffs and making other US imports expensive of those higher prices? And how would the Canadian government use that kind of revenue?
She's a pretty little thing. A lot of rumors about her and Trudeau. I don't know if they're true or not, but this girl seems really simple when she speaks.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know that when we impose tariffs, these are revenues that go to the Canadian government. We also know that meanwhile, things become more costly across the country because of the fact that Americans are imposing tariffs on us. And so based on that, we want to make sure that ultimately, indeed, we use the revenues to support Canadians. But at the same time, Tana, we're still working on the first phase of our response, which is to prevent tariffs. We know that we can make sure ultimately also, while we're putting everything on the table in terms of retaliation, that we can work with different provinces across the country, including those that have specific industries that Americans rely on. And so that's why I think we can have really positive and constructive relationships and conversations with provinces and with premiers. And of course, the Prime Minister is very open to that.
Excuse me. Speaking of those specific industries, I guess it's a kind of a related thing. What we have heard other outside experts kind of guesstimate what the impact would be of all of this on Canada. But we haven't heard the government's own numbers about what the impact on Canada would be in terms of our GDP, our economy, our job losses now.
So I will say that all in French.
Melanie Joly is a member of the Liberal Party. She was born in 1979. As a member of the Liberal Party, she represents the Montreal area in the House of Commons, taking office as a member of Parliament following the 2015 federal election. She has held a number of portfolios, including Canadian Heritage, Tourism, and La Francophone. Joly ran for mayor of Montreal in the 2013 Montreal municipal election, placing second behind eventual winner Denis Coderre. Born in Montreal, Quebec, Joly graduated from the University de Montreal.
Nationally. Can you give us that today, given that you haven't given us an indication that any of Canada's arguments are landing right yet? So what is your estimate of the national economic picture that is looming?
Well, I think that we're taking these tariff threats very, very seriously because we know that the impacts on Canadians would be really, really, really difficult. And why I'm saying that is we know that there would be lots of job loss across the country. And we know that this would also have an impact on cost of living for Canadians. I won't go into the details of what that figure is like, but definitely we have numbers that are highlighting how much this could be devastating. This would be basically starting a trade war. The Americans would be starting a trade war against us, and this would be the biggest trade war between Canada and US in decades. We've gone through a very difficult moment during COVID where we had to save many businesses and save a lot of livelihoods across the country. And so we have the experience of how we can address severe economic damage At the same time, I think that there is still hope that if we use our levers well, that we can make sure that Americans backtrack. And that's why I've been saying everything is on the table, and we have to be able to show how much this will have an impact also on the other side of the border, which is job losses also in key states. And at the same time, this would result in hurting American consumers, because also lots of things we export would cost much more. So these are the conversations that we're having, that I'm having. Like I was saying in French, Tana, a lot of senators are very surprised by the numbers we're giving them. A lot of senators have never heard about this Trump tariff tax. And a lot of them are understanding a bit more what would be their impact on their own constituency and how much this would go against a promise they made and President-elect Trump made during the campaign, during the elections, about making sure that the economy and life is much more affordable for Americans. So that's why I think that we need to continue to press people on the Hill in Washington and across the U.S., including key governors and state representatives.
She needs
Thank
a
you.
bump.
Next question is from Stephen Chase. Please go ahead.
Badly.
Hi, Steve here. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you, Steve. Go ahead.
So we've been making the case to the Americans for about 6 or 7 weeks now, and there's nobody, I think, in the world of economics that argues otherwise. The fact is that tariffs would increase the cost for Americans. So you've been talking to Republicans repeatedly now since November. What can they explain Mr. Trump's thinking? Can they explain why he's still willing to proceed with this, even though all the evidence to the contrary shows it would be bad for American consumers? I'm hoping to get inside the mindset of people you're talking to.
So while we are very organized and while we've been doing a lot of outreach, because of course we had in mind that President Trump tweeted about this beginning of December and linked it also to the border plan, my job, Steve, has been to say, you know what, border issue, yes, we're addressing it. We have a great border plan, $1.3 billion, more boots on the ground, more drones, Black Hawk helicopters, K9 units, etc. And so we are preoccupied with also the border. We don't want your guns. We don't want illegal drugs coming from your side of the border. We will make sure that that doesn't happen on our side. And this is a win-win. So technically, there's no issue with tariffs because the border issue is linked to tariffs. And so the reaction from Tom Homan, the border czar himself, was extremely positive. He went on the news, said that was positive also. And so when I talk about that in Washington, people are reassured and they think, indeed, it is a win. And indeed, they're happy that Canada is moving in that direction. When I talk about the tariffs themselves and their impact, people in Washington are surprised. And when I mention the impacts of a Trump tariff tax on Americans, they're not only surprised, they're very worried. There's a level of disorganization that is happening in any transition. And so, while we've been very organized on the border and very organized in really talking about tariffs, people in Washington are just settling in. And so this is all new information. And so I think we still have a case to make. We have to continue to put pressure. Those that have gone through the steel and aluminum tariffs and what we did at the time very much remember how much this had an impact on their constituency. Don't want to see that again. But that's why we still have to do the work of talking to not only the Howard Lutnicks and the people that are part of the administration, but also the entire Hill. So I hope I'm answering your question right now, because I think Canadians need to know that while the entire country is united and that we will continue to defend Canadians and will never back down, at the same time, Americans are just waking up to this possibility.
Okay, as a follow-up question, again, you've been talking to people for 6 weeks. What's your best guidance to Canadians for next week? Should Canadians be bracing for tariffs?
We have to be ready. There's a level of unpredictability that is linked to Trump and his administration, and therefore we have to take the threats very seriously. We have no other choice. So that's why I'm here preventing tariffs and working the Hill. And I think having an impact that is really important. And particularly, I must say, with John Thune, who's a very senior Republican, and Lindsey Graham and Jim Rich, the reaction was unanimous. Basically, American senators themselves are saying, we don't want this. And so I think we can make sure that we have more allies. I think there's still a lot of work to be done. I think that I'm calling on business leaders, premiers, everybody having a relationship with Americans, and we know Canadians have so many of these relationships, to be united, because this is a defining moment, and there is clearly a chance for us to have a say in what President Trump will do next. And meanwhile, we just need to be united, because if we need to retaliate, we will do so, and Americans will discover Trump terror attacks.
So I guess me and Sweep here are gonna just about wrap this one up. She always wants to show her butt in the camera. She's always trying to face me. I'm facing the camera, so her butt is at the camera. Anyways, that's Melanie Joly. Woo! Go get him, girl. Like, you need a couple of bumps to get in front of that camera and even have some energy. That was low energy, girl. Liberals are disappointing, not a big surprise. It's gonna get worse before it gets better, but let's continue to watch. Canadian Loonie, like, share, subscribe. Please leave a comment. I do love the comments. And that's it. We'll catch you next video. Sweet Pete, I'll be right here, watching Canadian politics, trying to share what we're learning with you. That's it. We're out.
The time when America was ready to party.
Look, if you really want to score, I got the guy.
Barbie! I don't nickel and dime. You want it or not?
Get this stuff.
Colombia.
I can't feel my face.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Your meeting tomorrow morning with the
This chick gets around more than Carmen Santiago. Like,
Feel my face.
Melanie Joly. Where are we to? Belgium this time? Where are you to? Well, gang, we're gonna wrap it up right there. I hope you know a little bit more about Melanie Joly, Trudeau's side piece, his Minister of Foreign Affairs, Global Affairs, some kind of affairs, coke, habits, blow, hard. This is Melanie Joly, and this is her life in Canada. Or, you know, visiting Canada, sometimes traveling around the world, picking up bags of blow for Trudeau's cabinet. What's going on? Canadian Loonie, like, share, subscribe. Trying to be, you know, real about the politics while having a little bit of fun. A little bit. That's it. We'll catch you next video. Thank you for watching this one. Melanie Joly is lighting it up. Woo! Let's go, Melanie Joly. Trudeau's side piece hustle, traveling around the world. Goodness gracious. We're out, gang. Check your next video. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.